You were wide awake by a knock on the door. You glanced at the clock and realized you have overslept. Panic surged through you as you remember your duties to the prince. You quickly threw on your cardigan and hurried to the door, opening it to find Mr. Kim standing there. Mr. Kim looked at you a little concerned. What's wrong? Why haven't you started working? It's past the prince's breakfast time. Is everything okay? I'm so sorry, Mr. Kim. I overslept and didn't realize the time. I'll get everything ready quickly. Without waiting for his response, you rushed to take a quick shower and hurried to the second floor. When you entered the room, you were surprised to see the breakfast table already set up, the dishes arranged neatly. It was really a shock to you because the new maids who are going to handle the housework hasn't come yet. Confused, you looked around and saw Jungkook standing by the window looking different from the stern prince you had seen before. His expression was softer, almost relaxed. Your Highness, I apologize for being late. This will never happen again. You deeply bowed, apologizing for your mistake. To your surprise, he didn't seem angry. In fact, he turned to you with a small smile. Seriously, you were not getting anything right now. His sudden change in mood, it all felt so good yet surprising. It's alright, I made breakfast myself. You blinked in shock. You made breakfast, Your Highness? He nodded while you were amused. Yes, I thought I would give it a try. You were at a loss of words. I apologize again for my lateness, Your Highness. It won't happen again. I told you not to bow at me. Your heart skipped a beat. Don't know about him, but he really messed up with your head. You just nodded. As you say, Your Highness, but I'm still sorry for being late. He waved your apology and walked towards the table. There's no need to apologize. Sit down and eat with me. Your eyes widened. But, Your Highness, I can't. I insist. He interrupted while his tone got a little commanding. Hesitantly, you sat down across from him, feeling out of place but grateful for his kindness. As you picked up your fork, you couldn't help but to glance at him, still trying to process this new side of him. You seemed surprised, he said, raising an eyebrow even after knowing well that anyone on your place could have reacted the same way. You nodded slowly. I didn't expect this, Your Highness. Jungkook leaned back, studying you. I can be different when I want to be. A small smile tugged at your lips. I see that. Jungkook felt a strange sensation as he watched your smile break through. It was as if a ray of sunlight had pierced through the clouds of his stormy existence. Your simple act of smiling seems to soothe the constant war within him. He looked pleased with your response, and for a moment the room felt warmer. You both ate in comfortable silence, the tension from earlier melting away. As you finished your meal, you glanced up at him. Thank you, Your Highness. This was unexpected, but very nice. Jungkook nodded. You are welcome, and remember, you don't need to be so formal with me all the time. You were taken aback by his words, but you are the prince, Your Highness, and you are the only one who seems to see beyond that. He replied softly while you gulped, only you could feel how terribly your heart was beating. You felt a strange sense of connection to him, and as you left the room to continue your duties, you couldn't help but to feel that things were changing between you and the prince. The line between servant and master was beginning to blur, and neither of you seems to mind. Word spread quickly throughout the mansion about Jungkook's transformation. The once short-tempered prince, known for his anger, now seems calmer. Everyone noticed the change, and it was clear who was responsible. The household staff, guards, and even visitors noticed the change in Jungkook. People whispered about what, or rather who, was responsible for this big shift. You were the center of these whispers, even though you never asked for the attention. Since you started serving Jungkook more directly, your life in the mansion changed. You no longer did regular maid tasks. Instead, you bring him meals, keep his room tidy, and spend time with him. One morning, as you were bringing Jungkook his breakfast, you overheard two guards talking. Have you noticed how the prince has been lately? He's like a different person. Yeah, he hasn't had a single outburst in weeks and he's been polite. Can you believe that? The other guard replied in surprise. Do you think it's because of her? That maid. She seems to be the only one who can get close to him without setting him off. Must be, but whatever she's doing, it's working. I have never seen him this calm before. You quickly moved away, not wanting to be caught eavesdropping. Their words echoed in your mind. You feel like you have really done something amazing. It was true that everyone was surprised yet happy, and somewhere you were feeling good to know that you are the reason behind it. You entered and Jungkook studied to bring him his tea. He looked up from his work and smiled, a rare, genuine smile that made your heart skip a beat. You have been working for so long, I thought to make a warm cup of tea. He smiled. You always know exactly what I need. Thank you, Ian. You smiled while coming towards his table, trying to hide the blush that appeared on your cheeks. It's my duty, Your Highness. Jungkook's gaze lingered on you, his eyes filled with a warmth you were still getting used to. It's more than that, Vian. You have brought something to this place that is badly needed. You looked up, meeting his eyes. And what's that, Your Highness? He paused as if searching for the right words. Peace. You have brought me peace. He felt a strong sense of happiness. This is what everyone has been talking about. They are giving all the credit to you for this change, and hearing this from him made you even more happy. This wasn't just about your duties anymore. There was a bond forming between you and the prince, one that went beyond the traditional boundaries of servant and master. I'm happy to bring you peace, Your Highness, and I will always try to do my best. He gulped, but his eyes still on you. As you placed the tea on the table, Jungkook said something that made you pause in the middle. Call me Jungkook, he said, while his tone leaving no room for argument. You looked up surprised, but you are the prince and I'm asking you to call me by my name. No more, Your Highness, just Jungkook. You just slowly nodded because you know you can't argue or win against him and you won't mind calling him by his name. As you say, Jungkook. When you said his name, a subtle change came over him. His eyes softened and he seemed to relax, as if a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He repeated your name as though worshipping it. Hearing his name from your lips, Jungkook felt a warmth he had never experienced before. It was a strange and comforting sensation, filling the empty space within him. I never thought my name would sound so special and different when it will come out of your mouth. It feels like more than a name. You smiled, feeling a connection that was deepening with every moment. It feels different for me too, Jungkook. Jungkook's lips curled up into a genuine smile. You have no idea what you are doing to me, Vian. I feel like I'm getting used to you and I'm afraid what will I do without you. You came near him. Don't worry, I will always be there whenever you need me, no matter what. Later that week, the calm you had brought into the mansion was disrupted. You were busy in the kitchen when you heard a loud crash coming from the living room. Your heart raced as you hurried towards the noise, fearing the worst. As you approached, you could hear Jungkook's furious voice booming through the hallway. How many times do I have to tell you to get things right? This incompetence is unacceptable. He shouted at the servants and maids who were standing there lowering their heads. They looked terrified. An important document went missing and it sent Jungkook into a rage. His old anger returned with full force and he started shouting and throwing things around. Everyone in the mansion was terrified, too scared to approach him. When you finally came there, seeing Jungkook in such a state was alarming, but you knew you had to do something. Your Highness, you said softly, trying to get his attention, but he didn't seem to hear you at first. Continuing to shout and throw things, you took a deep breath and stepped closer, standing right in front of him. His hand stopped in the midway. He can never hurt the woman he has fallen deeply. You stood there fearlessly and only you could do that because you knew he would never hurt you. Jungkook, please look at me. As you called his name, it felt like he came back to his senses. His face seemed to relax and breathe started to get steady. You came near him and spoke in a gentle tone. Calm down, okay? We will find the document, but please don't get angry. Jungkook's chest heaved with heavy breaths, but he didn't say anything. Slowly his fist unclenched and he dropped the piece of furniture he had been holding. You don't need to punish yourself like this. We can solve this together. For a moment it seemed like he might start shouting again, but instead he took a deep breath. The anger in his eyes faded, replaced by a tired, almost defeated look. Alright. You nodded and turned to the rest of the staff. Let's all calm down and work together to find the document. The staff quickly got to work, relieved that the crisis had been managed by you. Jungkook watched you for a moment longer, then sat down while his shoulders slumped. You always know what to do, he said, almost whisper. You turned towards him and gave him a soft smile. That's because I care. Now let's find that document together. As everyone moved around searching for the missing paper, the mansion slowly returned to its usual calm. Jungkook's anger had reduced and the change in him was even more visible now. The once short-tempered prince was learning to find peace thanks to you. It was proven that you had become his calming pill. That evening, as the mansion settled back into its usual calm, you found yourself in Jungkook's study, helping him organize some papers. The air was still tense from the earlier outbursts, but there was a strange sense of intimacy in the quiet room. As the night grew darker, the only light came from the flickering candles. You noticed Jungkook stealing glances at you, while his expression softer than usual. I don't know what I would have done without you. He suddenly spoke, breaking the silence in the room. You looked up, surprised by the vulnerability in his voice. I'm just glad I could help. He shook his head. It's more than that, Vian. You have changed something in me. I have felt so much anger and pressure for so long, but with you, it's different. I feel at peace. Your heart raced at his words. You took a step closer, drawn to the honesty in his eyes. I'm here for you, Jungkook, always. He reached out, gently taking your hand. You have no idea what you mean to me. The room seems to shrink around you. The rest of the world seemed to fade away. Jungkook's gaze was intense, filled with emotions he couldn't put into words. Slowly he leaned in and you felt your breath catch. His lips brushed against yours softly at first, testing the waters. When you didn't pull away, he deepened the kiss. His hands gently cupped your face. It was a kiss filled with unspoken promises and emotions, a moment that felt both tender and electric. When you finally pulled back, both of you were breathless. Jungkook rested his forehead against yours, his eyes closed. I wanted to do that for so long, he confessed while you smiled, your heart swelling with emotion, but you didn't say anything. He led you to the couch by the fireplace, where you both sat wrapped in each other's arms. The warmth of the fire and the closeness of his body made you feel safe and cherished. I've never felt this way about anyone. You have brought light into my life, Ian. I don't ever want to let you go, he said, holding you close to him. I feel the same way. You have shown me a side of you that no one else sees, and I love that side of you. Jungkook kissed you again, slower this time, savoring the moment. Then there was a heavy silence. You both were feeling the warmth of each other's embrace when Jungkook decided to break the silence. He wanted to know more about you. Tell me about your past, Ryan. I want to know everything about you. You looked into his eyes, feeling a mixture of vulnerability and trust. There's not much to tell, really. I grew up in a small village. My parents were kind, but life was hard. We didn't have much, but we had each other. When they passed away, I was left on my own. I came here to work, hoping to find a better life. I lost my mother a few months back. Jungkook listened to you intently. It must have been difficult. It was, but it taught me to be strong and resilient. I always believed that no matter how hard things got, there was always hope, and now I think that hope led me to you. Jungkook's grip tightened around you. You are incredible, Ryan. I've always been surrounded by luxury and power, but it felt like a cage. My father demanded perfection, and I could never live up to his expectations. The pressure to be the perfect prince. The day finally came when he trusted someone and told him the reason behind his unloved side. You placed a gentle hand on his cheek. You don't have to be perfect, Jungkook. Not for me. He closed his eyes, leaning into your touch. You have shown me that. With you, I feel like I can finally breathe. I can be myself. Tears filled in your eyes as you realized how deeply he has fallen for you and care about you, and so do you. We'll be each other's reason to live, Jungkook. We'll face everything together. Jungkook kissed you softly, a promise in the gesture. I never thought I could find someone who understands me like you do. You have become my strength, my light in the darkness. I love you, Ryan. I love you so much. You smiled through your tears, and you have become mine. We'll create our own happiness no matter what comes our way. For the rest of the night, you continue to share stories and dreams, finding comfort and joy in each other's company. The bond between you grew stronger, solidifying the connection that had started to bloom the moment you stepped into this mansion. Now you both have a reason to live. You both have each other to call a family and a beautiful future ahead.